What if death is not an end, but a doorway? What if the moment we fear most, the final heartbeat, the last breath, is not the collapse of our existence, but the unveiling of a deeper reality that has been waiting behind the veil all along? For centuries, mystics, sages, and ordinary men and women who have returned from the brink of death have whispered about extraordinary journeys, tunnels of light, encounters with radiant beings, visions of past lives flashing in an instant, and an overwhelming sense of love that words can barely contain. These accounts challenge the very foundation of what we think life and consciousness truly are. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. To one side is the familiar shore of life, filled with the sounds and sensations you've always known. But just a single step forward pulls you into waters that feel infinite, timeless, weightless, eternal. That step, which we call death, may not be a plunge into darkness, but the beginning of an entirely different voyage. Those who have brushed against this threshold and returned often describe it as more real, more vivid, and more truthful than waking life itself. And yet science struggles to explain it. Is it simply the brain firing its last electrical signals in a storm of hallucinations? Or is the brain merely a receiver, a tuning instrument, and death is the moment when consciousness slips free to its true home? The testimonies of near-death experiencers suggest something profound, that consciousness may not be bound by flesh, and that death, instead of erasing us, may reveal who we truly are. In this video, we are going to journey into this mystery. We will explore how different spiritual traditions and ancient philosophies understood near-death experiences long before modern medicine gave them a name. We will dive into what really happens in these moments, peeling back layers of illusion to glimpse what lies beyond. And most importantly, we will uncover what this knowledge means for you, not just at the hour of death, but right now in the life you are living. Because if the near-death experience is truly a glimpse of the ultimate reality, then the question is not what happens when we die, but how can we live differently, knowing the truth of what awaits us. Long before the modern term near-death experience existed, humanity has been wrestling with the question of what happens in those moments when life hovers at the edge of eternity. Ancient civilizations, mystics, and philosophers all left behind fragments of insight, suggesting that the phenomenon is neither new nor rare. It is as old as human consciousness itself. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, often referred to as the Book of Coming Forth by Day, the soul of the deceased is described as traveling through strange and luminous realms, encountering divine beings, and being weighed against the feather of Ma'at, truth. What is remarkable is that many who return from near-death experiences today describe a similar journey, an overwhelming presence of light, a review of one's life in astonishing detail, and the deep sense of judgment not by an external authority, but by the truth of one's own heart. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo Thidal, speaks of the Bardo states, transitional dimensions that open after death. Here the soul may encounter peaceful and wrathful deities, visions that reflect the workings of one's own mind. The instruction given to the dying is to remain calm, detached, and aware, so as not to be overwhelmed by illusion. Near-death experiencers across cultures echo this advice. Those who surrender to the process speak of serenity, bliss, and union with a greater reality, while those who resist often experience confusion or fear. The Greek philosophers, too, were fascinated by the mystery. Plato, in his dialogue The Republic, recounts the story of a soldier who fell in battle and returned to life 12 days later. Described traveling through realms of light and shadow, witnessing souls preparing to be reborn, and being told of the cosmic order that governs existence. This story is strikingly similar to modern accounts of people who speak of meeting souls, experiencing a review of their deeds, and returning with a renewed sense of purpose. Even in Christian mysticism, saints and visionaries spoke of radiant encounters at the threshold of death. St. Augustine, for example, hinted that the soul's journey after death is not a sudden leap into heaven or hell, but a process of purification and realization. Similarly, the Apostle Paul spoke of being caught up to the third heaven. Whether in the body or out of it, he did not know. His words mirror the timeless confusion of those who return from near-death experiences. Was it real, or was it beyond real? From the perspective of Hermetic philosophy, death is not an annihilation but a transformation, a return to the source from which all things emerge. The Hermetic axiom, as above so below, implies that the microcosm of human life mirrors the macrocosm of universal cycles. Just as the sun sets only to rise again, the soul leaves one state only to awaken in another. What is fascinating is that these traditions, separated by continents and centuries, describe patterns that align with what modern experiencers recount today. The tunnel of light resembles the Egyptian journey through the Duat. The life review mirrors the weighing of the heart. The encounters with radiant beings resemble the guides of the Tibetan Bardo. And the overwhelming sense of peace resonates with the teachings of Stoics and mystics alike, who saw death not as a terror, but as a homecoming. Thus, the near-death experience is not a modern anomaly. It is a universal theme woven into humanity's spiritual history. What changes is only the language we use, the symbols, metaphors, and cultural dressings. Beneath them lies a common truth. Death reveals something beyond the physical, and those who touch it return forever changed. But what exactly happens in that mysterious passage? Is it a hallucination of the dying brain, or is it a glimpse into the architecture of the afterlife? To answer this, we must now look deeper. Not only at the testimonies of those who have returned, but also at the hidden principles of consciousness itself. To understand what really happens in a near-death experience, we must first recognize that consciousness may not be bound to the physical body. Many who have approached the edge of death describe a sense of separation, a profound awareness that they are observing their own body from a distance, as if consciousness itself is a lantern illuminating the world while remaining untethered from flesh and blood. This phenomenon, often called an out-of-body experience, is the first threshold into the mysteries that await. Imagine a bird leaving its cage, soaring high above familiar landscapes, seeing everything below with clarity and perspective previously impossible. The body, once thought to contain the entirety of the self, becomes merely a vessel, a temporary home for the spirit. In that space, sensations shift. Time slows or disappears, pain dissolves, and thought flows freely without the restrictions imposed by earthly life. Many describe the experience as effortless clarity, a state of perception so vivid it seems more real than waking life. The next common aspect of near-death experiences is the tunnel of light. Across cultures and centuries, experiencers report being drawn toward a radiant, enveloping light, a corridor that seems to lead to another dimension. Some scientists suggest this is a neurological response, but the similarity of accounts worldwide points to something deeper. In esoteric traditions, light is more than illumination. It is consciousness itself, the primal force behind creation, the pure essence of the divine. To move through the tunnel is to transition from one state of awareness to another, leaving the corporeal world behind and approaching the infinite. Alongside the light, many report encountering beings of light or guides. These entities are described as loving, wise, and extraordinarily intelligent, often communicating without words, conveying understanding directly to the heart. Some are recognized as deceased loved ones, others are unknown yet profoundly familiar. Here, the near-death experience mirrors teachings from Hermetic, Kabbalistic, and Buddhist traditions. The journey is guided, not random. Consciousness is not abandoned at death, it is escorted, shown the hidden architecture of reality. Then comes the life review, a phase that is deeply transformative. Individuals recount seeing their entire life unfold in moments, not through the eyes of judgment, but through the emotional resonance of every action. The feelings they caused in others, the kindnesses ignored, the love exchanged. In essence, the universe itself acts as a mirror, reflecting back the truth of one's choices. This is not punishment, but revelation. Ancient Hermetic texts often described a similar process, stating that the soul must confront the essence of its deeds before progressing to higher states of being. The near-death experience becomes, in a very real sense, an accelerated form of spiritual initiation, a profound reckoning that awakens the heart to truth. Finally, we begin to glimpse the timeless quality of the near-death state. Experiencers report that minutes on Earth can stretch into hours, or conversely, what feels like eternity may pass in an instant. This distortion hints at the deeper nature of reality, that time as humans perceive it is an illusion, and consciousness itself may operate on a higher plane where past, present, and future converge. Mystics from the East and West alike have described this state as the eternal now, a dimension where the soul communes directly with the fundamental source of existence. These experiences, while extraordinary, share strikingly similar patterns across cultures and eras. The separation from the body, the encounter with radiant light and guides, the life review, and the dissolution of linear time all point toward a reality beyond physical death. It suggests that consciousness may not simply emerge from the brain, but that the brain is a gateway, a lens through which consciousness temporarily experiences the material world. In the next section, we will explore the second half of this core explanation, diving into the nuances, contradictions, and lesser-known aspects of near-death experiences, including the darker, more complex encounters, the lessons hidden in fear, and the subtle ways these experiences can reshape our understanding of life itself. While many near-death experiences are described as peaceful, luminous, and even blissful, not all encounters are purely serene. A lesser-known aspect of these journeys involves facing shadowy realms or intense emotions. Some experiencers report sensations of fear, emptiness, or confrontation with darker forces, manifestations that feel as real as the radiant light they may later encounter. These are not necessarily punishments, but reflections of the mind's unresolved fears, attachments, or karmic imprints. In the esoteric view, this is the soul's mirror, revealing hidden layers that must be acknowledged and integrated before true liberation can occur. Consider the analogy of refining gold. Impurities must be exposed to heat in order to be removed. Similarly, these challenging encounters function as a spiritual crucible. Ancient alchemists understood this principle. Before reaching the philosopher's stone, the base metal must undergo dissolution, separation, and purification. Near-death experiences, in their darker manifestations, operate on the same principle, stripping away illusions and confronting the soul with the raw truth of its inner state. Another fascinating phenomenon reported by near-death experiencers is encounters with multiple dimensions simultaneously. Some individuals describe seeing layers of reality stacked upon one another, like the pages of a cosmic book. In these layers, every choice, action, and thought radiates outward, creating ripples that intersect and converge. This aligns with both Hermetic and Buddhist perspectives. The universe is not singular, but layered, a holographic tapestry where consciousness interacts with countless levels of existence. The near-death experience, then, becomes a lens into the multidimensional nature of reality itself. Time distortion continues to play a central role. Some experiencers recount events from the distant past, future possibilities, or even alternate versions of their own lives. In these moments, consciousness appears not just liberated from the body, but liberated from linear causality. This hints at an important philosophical implication, that life is not merely a sequence of cause and effect, but a complex interplay of choices that ripple across dimensions. What we perceive as fate or chance may simply be one thread in an infinite cosmic web, and near-death experiences offer a glimpse of the full tapestry. Interestingly, many individuals report communication without words, a direct transfer of understanding or knowledge from the divine or universal source. Emotions, intentions, and truths are perceived instantly, as if consciousness itself is a language. This challenges our conventional notion of knowledge acquisition and suggests that there exists a form of learning beyond symbols, beyond speech, an intuitive comprehension that is both holistic and instantaneous. Ancient mystics called this gnosis, a direct knowing that bypasses the intellect and speaks straight to the soul. Finally, the return to the physical body is often accompanied by lasting transformations. Near-death experiencers frequently report shifts in priorities, a heightened sense of purpose, and a diminished fear of death. Relationships, values, and daily life are colored by the profound awareness of impermanence and interconnectedness. This mirrors teachings from Stoic philosophers, who urged that life should be lived with constant awareness of mortality, and from Eastern traditions that emphasize mindfulness and detachment from the ephemeral. In essence, the near-death experience is both a revelation and a teacher, imparting lessons that extend far beyond the brink of death itself. In the next section, we will explore practical applications, translating these extraordinary insights into tangible practices that viewers can use to deepen their spiritual awareness, prepare for the inevitability of death, and awaken to a higher understanding of life, while still in the physical world. While near-death experiences may seem like events reserved for moments at the edge of life, their wisdom can be applied in everyday living. The insights gained from these encounters with the threshold of death are not merely stories. They are invitations to transform consciousness here and now. By cultivating certain practices, anyone can begin to touch aspects of this heightened awareness, preparing both for the inevitability of death and for a more awakened, meaningful life. Conscious meditation on death. One of the most powerful tools is memento mori, a practice of contemplating mortality. This does not mean dwelling in fear, but rather observing the transient nature of life as a lens for clarity. Spend a few minutes each day visualizing your own impermanence. Imagine leaving your body and witnessing your life from a detached perspective. This simple practice can shift priorities, deepen presence, and reduce attachment to trivial anxieties. Ancient Hermetic texts and Stoic philosophers alike emphasize that awareness of death awakens wisdom, courage, and compassion. Energy and breath awareness. Near-death experiencers often report sensations of separation from the body, as if consciousness is flowing through an unseen energy field. You can cultivate a similar attunement through focused breathwork and energy exercises. Try inhaling slowly while visualizing energy rising from the base of the spine to the crown of your head, and exhaling while imagining release of tension or fear. Over time, this practice strengthens your connection to subtle layers of consciousness, helping you sense life beyond the purely material and approach moments of fear or uncertainty with calm. Journaling life reviews. Experiencers often speak of the life review, a rapid, compassionate reflection of all actions, choices, and relationships. You can practice a conscious, intentional life review each night. Write down moments from your day and reflect on the impact of your words, deeds, and thoughts. Ask yourself honestly, did I act with love or ego? Did I create harmony or harm? This habit trains the mind to recognize patterns, make ethical adjustments, and cultivate a sense of accountability, essentially initiating your own microcosmic near-death experience in the present. Facing fear and shadow. Dark encounters reported in near-death experiences offer lessons in embracing one's shadow, the fears, regrets, and unresolved emotions within. Confronting these in meditation or therapy can mirror the transformative crucible of death, allowing fear to lose its grip. Visualize fears as shadows that dissolve in light, and affirm your resilience and capacity to integrate all aspects of yourself. This practice strengthens inner clarity, emotional intelligence, and spiritual courage. Cultivating compassion and connection. The overwhelming sense of unconditional love described by many near-death experiencers is perhaps the most profound lesson. You can cultivate this by extending empathy and conscious kindness in everyday life. Notice how your actions ripple through others, practice forgiveness, and engage in acts that nurture connection rather than separation. This aligns with the universal truth revealed in these experiences. Consciousness is interconnected, and love is the ultimate reality beyond physical existence. Preparing for conscious transition. Even if you never experience a near-death event, developing awareness of your own consciousness can prepare you for eventual death. Contemplate life as a series of transitions. Practice letting go of attachment and observe your thoughts and sensations without clinging. Over time, this prepares the mind and spirit to move through thresholds with grace, clarity, and peace, whether in death, profound meditation, or any moment of radical change. By integrating these practices, the lessons of near-death experiences become practical tools for transformation. They are not simply stories of mystical journeys, but blueprints for awakening, guides to live with intention, see with clarity, and love without fear. Every insight from the brink of death can illuminate the way to a richer, more profound life right now. Near-death experiences reveal a reality far deeper than our ordinary perception allows. They show that consciousness may extend beyond the physical body, that life is a vast interplay of choices and ripples across dimensions, and that death may not be an ending, but a transition into a more expansive state of awareness. The tunnel of light, the life review, the radiant guides, and even the shadowy challenges all point to the same profound truth. The essence of who we are is eternal, and our experiences in this world shape the soul's journey far beyond the confines of the body. The lessons of near-death experiences are not limited to moments of extreme crisis. They are invitations to live with greater presence, awareness, and love. By contemplating mortality, cultivating inner energy, reflecting on our actions, and embracing compassion, we can begin to experience the profound clarity and transformation reported by those who have glimpsed the other side. In this way, near-death experiences are not distant anomalies, but mirrors showing us the path to awaken in life itself. So ask yourself, if life is a fleeting passage and consciousness continues beyond what you can see, how will you live differently today? How will you act with awareness, move with courage, and open yourself to the unseen currents of existence? The mysteries of death are not merely for the dying, they are a guide for the living. Remember, what awaits beyond the veil is not only a journey but a revelation, a call to awaken to the truth of your own infinite nature. And the moment you begin to live in alignment with this truth, you will find that life itself becomes a bridge to something far greater, and death ceases to be something to fear, but a transition you meet with clarity, courage, and awe.